هیچ نشانی از فروکش.
Hi friends, welcome back to Fastcuts. Today we're going to watch the movie Holy Spider. Holy Spider is a 2022 movie directed by Ali Abbasi based on a city and its people living in the darkness of extreme religious beliefs. This critically acclaimed and controversial movie got so much international attention that even the crew of the movie faced many threats in real life and had to complete the rest of their shooting in Jordan. Threats apart, the movie was considered as brilliant work on social and religious evils that exists in the society. The story happens in Iran's so-called holy place Mashhad. The poor women in that place live by prostituting themselves to survive. A young man named Saeed, who believes that those women ruin their holy place, finds each one of them, brutally kills, believing he is purifying that place. While even the government supports Saeed, a foreign reporter, Arazu Rahimi, arrives there to find the culprit and bring justice. The movie begins where a woman changes her clothes after she have sex with one of her customer. One can see how weak she has become, and from the wounds all over her body makes it clear that no matter how men their claims to be pure in daylight are nothing less than animals to those women. The woman kisses her daughter and goes to find another customer. While the woman was waiting for another customer, a man on bike arrives, and only after showing the money she agrees to go with him. He asks her to cover her body and takes her to an empty house. The man's behavior made her too suspicious. She turns down the deal, but the man suddenly grabbed a shawl around her neck, started to strangle her to death. She cried and asked for mercy, explaining she had small kids with empty stomachs waiting for her to arrive. But the man turned out to be a merciless monster, kills her and goes with her dead body. In the next scene, a woman is shown getting down from a bus, calling a taxi, aiming to go to a hotel. Inside the taxi radio broadcasted news about the anonymous serial psycho killer, also known as the Spider Killer, who murdered prostitutes and never left any evidence. The taxi driver asks Rahimi whether she came to pray, and she responded yes with hesitation. When she reached the hotel, even though her room was reserved, the hotel authorities had a million questions for her, like, is she really from Mashhad? Why has she not been accompanied by a man? Why is she not married? Why is her hair showing out and not covered with cloths? Why is her outfit modern and problematic? What's her real deal? And many more. Because she took the room for herself alone. Eventually they agreed to give her the room when she revealed herself as media person. The next day she goes to a news channel office to inquire about the Spider Killer case. Her close friend, also the CEO of that office, tries to make her understand the dangers that accompany with the case. Since the city is extremely religious and the killer claims himself as some sort of saint, as the people he is killing are prostitutes who spoils their religion, nobody would dare to do something against him. Rather, people will turn against her instead and bring a lot of danger to her as she speaks up for those prostitutes. But Rahimi was stern in her decision of going against the killer and bringing justice to all those innocent women whose sole purpose was to survive from poverty. The CEO reveals that the killer calls him after every murder to inform about where the dead body has been left, probably because his newspaper informed about the serial killings. The killer appeared excited and proud when he informs about his murder, and becomes ferocious when the news named him as just a murderer. No matter how much CEO warned, Rahimi wanted to against the killer, and the CEO had to help his friend. The next scene shows a hardworking, common man who has a happy family, including 3 kids and a wife, Saeed, who got injured while working in a construction site. When he gets back home, his wife Fatima informs him about the feast at her home at night, to which Saeed agrees to go. Then he goes to the streets and finds news about the Spider Killer, which is himself, and feels so proud about what all he did. The next day, when Rahimi goes to the police station to inquire about Spider Killer, they doesn't cooperate well with her. The police seem disturbed by her questions against Spider Killer and tries to make her go away from there, claiming that they are under so much pressure and the media is trying to only fuel it up. After quarreling for some time, Rahimi leaves and reaches her room. She tries to find clues to catch the killer, and she even goes to the streets, disguising herself as a prostitute, but fails to find anything the first day. The next scene shows Saeed praying with tears to give him strength to wipe out all the prostitutes from his holy place. At night, Saeed starts hunting for his next prey and finds an old-aged lady prostitute across the street. The old lady, with a lot of effort, sits behind him and is taken to his apartment. The next day the news office gets the usual call of the spider killer, after he does his murder, informs that the dead body is left in the Arab Road. When Rahimi inquired whether they haven't got any fingerprints, they tell her that the police doesn't seem to have any suspicion over anybody. Rahimi understands that the deeply religious city is purposefully hiding the culprit. The next day when Rahimi and her coworkers went to discuss all of these with the judge there who seemed to not care at all. While Rahimi tried telling everything she could to make them understand that those women are humans as well, and they have all the right to life, and the government has to protect them. But the judge seemed to be disinterested in helping them, which left Rahimi and her coworkers disappointed. After that, when Rahimi asks for the details of the murdered women, her coworker is amazed because she had no support from even the government. When Rahimi was asked about her previous job, she tells her friend that when the CEO in her previous organization started behaving inappropriately with her, she stood strong against it. Since she was just a woman and he was the CEO, the organization decided to protect its name and fame. Instead of her, she got fired. But she worked even harder for all the discriminated women out there as much as she could. In the next scene, Saeed's friend Haji arrives, and their conversation brings a clear picture of how much Saeed was mad about his religion, that even in war, he stood with all his faith in his religion. Then Saeed and Haji goes to the town and finds people discussing about the spider killer and how they were afraid to let their daughters out after 6 in the evening. But Saeed justified that the spider killer only targets prostitutes. When Saeed and Haji got back inside their car, Haji asks if he had any extramarital affair. Saeed dismisses the inquiry angrily. On the other side, Rahimi is trying to catch the killer disguised as a prostitute, which was indeed a dangerous step. But unfortunately that day Saeed selected another woman who initially didn't want to go with him as he looked poor, but agrees finally when Saeed promises cash and drugs. Then in Saeed's room, when she started grabbing him with lust, Saeed, who felt disgusted and tainted, goes to the washroom, cleans up himself and comes back with rage, kills her brutally. He left the body on the Arab Road and went to his wife without any guilt. Instead, he was happy and satisfied as hell. At the same time, while Rahimi was expecting the killer, she got to meet a woman named Sumaya, who seemed to be a prostitute. Rahimi asked her what happened, as her face was pale, lips were blood clotted, and the inconsistent body behavior due to drug abuse. She didn't stay there to reply much and left forever as she then met Saeed. Back at his apartment while he was tying up Sumaya's body, Fatima, his wife, arrives unexpectedly. Saeed somehow hides the body nearby. When Fatima asks if he was keeping any affair as their neighbor once found him with some other woman, Saeed completely disagrees. Next day the crowd, including the killer and Rahimi, gathered around Sumaya's disturbing dead body among the garbage, which left Rahimi haunted, but also determined to find the killer at any cost. Next day evening, Saeed finally found Rahimi, and they goes to Saeed's apartment along with Rahimi's crew, who knew by his body language that it could be the killer, followed them unknown to Saeed's knowledge. But in between, the crew got confused on the way and couldn't continue following them. This left Rahimi a bit anxious, but she mustered up some courage. Saeed realized that Rahimi is new to the field and could be tricked easily, but Rahimi somehow was able to escape. Despite knowing that Saeed would be caught anytime soon, he didn't feel any fear, as he firmly believed that the government and people would support him no matter what. As expected, arrives the police next day, arrest Saeed, which left his family and neighborhood wonder how come such a patient, calm individual could do all of these. While judgment without any guilt or fear, instead with all pride, he admits that he murdered 17 women. The court had to send him to jail. While Saeed's wife prayed day and night for his release, his teen son studied that even though his father was arrested, the people respected him, made him think that his father is some kind of hero. Usually death penalty is imposed on the people who commits murder in Mashhad, but for some reason Saeed believed that he'd be set free, and the sad part is that even the court neither wanted to impose death penalty on him, even though the culprit willingly admitted guilty, had every proof that he's the killer. The court now wanted the complaints of the victim's family to impose death penalty. To bring justice to the victims and punishment to Saeed, Rahimi approaches the families of the victims, who were disappointingly reluctant to even admit that their family had a member who were prostitutes. On the other side, to save Saeed, his family tried to picture Saeed as a mentally ill person who did the murders out of his disordered mental state. But Saeed refuses to accept it and admits that he did all his murders in his clear state of mind, which put Saeed again in jail. After the judgment, when Fatima and son came out of the court, the son was amazed by the support of the people out there. But Fatima knew that this support is going to be there only for a few more days, and everybody will forget and ignore them thereafter. Fatima tries everything, including bringing Saeed's mother to jail, to convince him to admit that he has mental problems, but Saeed felt that his supporters would stop encouraging a mentally ill person. For what he did so, Saeed sternly stands in his decision of not appearing as a mentally ill person. Saeed entrusts his family to his son Ali, who followed his father's same path. When Rahemi tries to make Fatima understand that her husband is the true culprit, Fatima backs up her husband, claiming that he killed the wrong woman who's living against their religion. And it's totally the right thing to do. Disappointed by the useless meeting with Fatima leads Rahemi next to visit Saeed, who still believes everything he did is right in the eyes of his God. Rahemi ensures Saeed that she'll do anything and everything to get him imposed with the greatest ever punishment. Saeed for some reason still believed he'll be rescued. The final judgment day arrived, and to Saeed's surprise, the judgment was against him imposing death penalty. Disappointed, Saeed later meets Haji, his friend and his lawyer, who assured him that he'll be rescued in car behind the room where the death penalty is executed. Hope flooded in Saeed only until the next day as he moved forward towards his death rope and found no cars or anything behind the room to rescue him out. Neither his close ones nor his religion saved him from his punishment. All happy and satisfied, Rahemi returns to her hometown by leaving her heart to her CEO friend. While traveling, Rahemi happens to see a horrific video of Saeed's son Ali, explaining how his father Saeed is not a criminal, but a religious hero who murdered his victims, who were making their land impure by just existing as prostitutes, along with a live demonstration of slitting the throat of none other than his own sister Maryam in a similar way to that of his father. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We'll be back with yet another exciting movie soon. Please do like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.